Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. We are of course going to be talking about all things Chelsea today as they progressed to the Champions League final for this season's competition last night by beating Real Madrid 2-0 on the night thanks to goals from Timo Werner and Mason Mount, and overall across both legs they won 3-1 on aggregate. Awaiting them in the final, of course, is none other than a familiar foe in Pep Guardiola's Manchester City. It's set to be an incredible tactical showdown between Thomas Tuchel and Pep Guardiola, between Chelsea and Manchester City. May 29th in Istanbul is going to be, hopefully, an incredible final to watch. But how did Chelsea get there? How did they beat Real Madrid? Well, we're going to talk about that in this video. We're also going to be slightly giving a bit of a preview to the Champions League final. I am going to go in more depth on that in a later video, but we're going to give you a slight preview to that in this video towards the end, so stick around for that if you're interested. But before we go any further, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. But for now, let's get back to talking about Chelsea and how they progressed to the Champions League final for the first time since 2012. And let's face it, on that night for the Blues, it was a success then. Could it be a success in a few weeks' time? Going into the second leg, the game hung in the balance following the first leg, of course, in which the game ended as a 1-1 draw, with Chelsea taking possibly an important away goal into this game, into this fixture, into this encounter, back to Stamford Bridge for the second leg. But by the end of the night, it didn't matter. The away goal rule didn't necessarily matter. Overall, it was a perfect night for Chelsea, both in terms of performance and in terms of result. Thomas Tuchel's side were fantastic. Tuchel himself came up with a great and well thought out game plan, and the players executed it to perfection. The Blues thought they'd opened the scoring midway through the first half through Timo Werner. However, the German was offside as Ben Chilwell teed him up in the penalty area. But moments later, Karim Benzema tested Edouard Mendy at the other end from the edge of the penalty area. But not long after, Chelsea did eventually make the breakthrough and go ahead in this game. Great build-up play by Chelsea saw Kai Havertz free inside the penalty area. His chipped effort was incredible, but it hit the crossbar. And from there, the rebound fell kindly to an alert Werner, who had the simplest of tasks of scoring into an empty net from close range. And this time, that goal did count. Moments after the goal, Benzema again was a threat for Madrid. He tested Mendy this time with a header, but the Blues goalkeeper wasn't to be beaten. Chelsea restricted Madrid from creating many chances in that first half and throughout the entirety of the game from there on out, other than the Benzema chances that I had previously mentioned. However, from there, Chelsea did go on to dominate and could and should have had more goals to show for their night's work. Havertz headed onto the crossbar in the second half before missing another effort later on. N'Golo Kante was denied by Madrid and former Chelsea goalkeeper Thibaut Courtois. But after all of that pressure, after all of them chances, Chelsea eventually did manage to double their lead. They eventually did manage to put the game to bed. Kante winning the ball back in midfield, as he so often does, won the ball back, moved forward, played through Christian Pulisic, who cut the ball back for Mason Mount to have the simplest of finishes from close range. He finished both the move and he finished Real Madrid's chances of adding a 14th Champions League title to their collection. That's over and done with. It was an incredible result for Chelsea, an incredible performance by the Chelsea players and all involved, and they go on to book their ticket to Istanbul for the final, where, like I say, Pep Guardiola's Manchester City awaits them. Truly incredible. I don't think there's much else I can honestly say, and I think I've repeated it a few times, but it's truly incredible. An amazing performance by Chelsea. Every little detail was sussed out and was pinned down right to a T, and it made for a great performance, worthy of advancing to any cup competition final. They made Madrid look mediocre last night and absolutely ripped them apart at times, to a point where you'd say that the only criticism you'd have of Chelsea would be of them not scoring more goals. The scoreline only being 2-0. That's how good Chelsea were on the night. They certainly had the opportunities to do it, but the 2 goals on the night was enough. And you know what? Fair play. They're through to the Champions League final. They're through to their first Champions League final since 2012. We all know, like I say, how that night ended. And against this Manchester City team, it does seem like this could have all the makings of one exciting and intriguing fixture ahead. Like the Manchester City performance the night before, it was a well-executed game plan, and the players involved put in a high-quality performance. There were no passengers last night. Everybody played for each other. They played their part, and they just wanted it more. Edouard Mendy in goal for Chelsea kept out Benzema on a couple of occasions. I talked about earlier in this video, in the first half especially. If at least one of them goes in, the game could have been so much different. It could have been completely different if one of those chances went in. The Blues defence was strong throughout the entirety of the 90 minutes. Kept winger and former Blues player Eden Hazard quiet. It certainly did for the majority of the game. I thought Werner had a very good game up front. Comes under a lot of criticism this season. Some of it I believe to be quite harsh, but I thought his performance last night was pretty well-rounded and pretty good overall. Mason Mount, of course, got his goal. Havertz was a constant threat. But N'Golo Kante, for me, was absolutely outstanding. Pressing in all the right areas, winning the ball back and releasing it to the more creative players. When he's on his game, it may go a little under the radar because he's not getting goals, or he's not getting assists, or he's not going into more attacking areas, but he is an absolute joy to watch. He is absolutely incredible. And of course, he was the catalyst behind the 2 Chelsea goals tonight. Him pressing and winning the ball back in key and more attacking areas were the catalyst behind both of Chelsea's goals tonight. He is simply phenomenal when he's in this kind of mood and on this kind of form. As for Madrid, well, despite their wealth of experience in this competition and having that wealth of experience over Chelsea, it just wasn't to be for them. They never really got into the game or felt comfortable within it. Striker Karim Benzema, like I say, went close on a couple of occasions. But other than that, Madrid failed to really break Chelsea down defensively. And, you know, defensively themselves, they were pretty poor. Like, they were pretty fortunate, like I mentioned, that the scoreline was only 2-0 on the night. It could have been so much more. But you have to give Chelsea credit for making Madrid look this way and look kind of mediocre overall, because they played exceptionally well. Back to the drawing board for Zidane and Madrid, you feel, on the as far as this competition goes. The search for the 14th Champions League title goes on into next year, and now of course they can turn their attention, their full attention, back to their domestic league, back to La Liga, where that title race is seemingly hotting up, isn't it? Where the season is reaching its conclusion, but there's still a 4-horse race, it seems, to the La Liga title. It's going to be an exciting conclusion to the Spanish league. And there's only 4 games to go. So that looks to be exciting. Madrid can now turn their full attention back towards that. And we wait and see if they add another La Liga title to their collection. But there will be no Champions League triumph for the Spanish side this season. But what we do know is that Chelsea have made it through to the Champions League final. And that's the bottom line here. The Blues have advanced to the Champions League final, where, of course, they will meet Pep Guardiola's Manchester City. familiar foes, they know each other very well. This competition boils down to an all-English final. Chelsea in one corner, Manchester City in the other corner. It's set to be a very interesting and intriguing tactical battle ahead. Not going to give too much away because I'm going to obviously do more of a preview, a bit more of an in-depth preview nearer the time. But what I will say is that with these two teams set to do battle in Istanbul for the right to triumph in Europe's and arguably the world's biggest club cup competition, it looks to be a mouth-watering encounter, doesn't it? You've got plenty of tactical battles all over the pitch. It's going to be down to tactical analysis. Phil Foden versus Mason Mount, Kevin De Bruyne versus N'Golo Kante, Pep Guardiola versus Thomas Tuchel, and of course the list of names that both sides have and will be doing battle against each other carries on and on and on. But the bottom line is Manchester City versus Chelsea in Istanbul, an all-English final awaits us on Saturday, May the 29th. But of course, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, on this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What did you make of last night's game? What did you make of Real Madrid crashing out the way they did against Chelsea? And of course, the bottom line really is, what do you make of Chelsea advancing to the final? What did you make of their performance last night? And of course, while we're at it, we may as well throw this out. How do you see the final going? Chelsea versus Manchester City, all-English final. How do you see that game panning out in Istanbul in a few weeks' time? I'd love to know your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, down in the comment section below. I'm sure they'll all make for interesting reading. Otherwise, hit that like button on the way if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things are always and forever greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will see and speak to you all again soon in another video.